And welcome to How Not to Souls. J-Ron here. And today we're going to look at the build from my Dark Souls 1 Fists Only run, which was surprisingly really good. There are moments that were very challenging, but there are moments of it you're just like, oh, okay, this is a thing. This is it. This is what's going to be happening. This is good. Overall damage was okay, but we used a number of buffs to increase that damage and tried doing a couple of different damage types upon our cestus, but we'll get into all that as we break down the build itself. But let's look at our numbers and the end game of everything. Little Mac, you had to step away from the boxing ring. It's a Punch Out reference. If you don't know, it's a very good Nintendo game. 30 vitality for a decent amount of health. 12 attunements, so we can have 2 attunement slots. So we can cast the buffs we need to cast. 30 endurance, so we can have the stamina that we need and wield the things we want with the weight they ask for. That was a really complicated way for, say, equip load, for a decent equip load. 32 strength and 31 dex. I was trying to balance it out to be even. That's just what it ended up being. Still basically a quality build. 11 resistance is base. 25 intelligence, so we can use crystal magic weapon and all the other magic-based buffs. And 9 faith as base. And as you can see here, our damage numbers don't look that great. But we'll get into that. So, our weapons were a cestus and a lightning cestus. This was actually my alternating cestus between different damage types that we didn't have buffs for. Whereas this is the cestus that we used for straight up physical, magic, and fire. And when we had lightning papers, lightning as well. But you could buy fire papers at any point. So, and if you want to use poison papers as well, that's also a thing. To cast our buffs, we had a Sorcerer's Catalyst to cast our magic weapons, and Pyromancy Flame to cast Power Within. And yeah, we used shields. I think the Sanctus would be a neat shield to have. Grasscrest Shield for stamina regeneration. This gives slight health regeneration. But I just stuck with a Caress Shield when I needed to use defense. I didn't use shields for damage, only for defense. Maybe a parry. But other than that, they did no damage. Literally everything came from the fists. Our armor set, as you can tell, it's the black iron set. Black iron leggings. And we have the gauntlets of thorns because they give you... They said 10% damage. I thought it was just 20 extra points of damage. And that's what they did. Give you 20 extra points on fist-based weapons and fist-based attacks, which was also huge. I very much enjoyed that addition to the build. So getting the extra damage, because our damage was okay. As you can see, we were doing... Oh, we'll go back into the damage and we'll talk about that. Because you saw the damage before. For our consumables, always have our Estus Flask. Charcoal Pine Resin for our flame buffs. And we also had Gold Pine Resins as our lightning buffs. When we had them, they're these are more abundant than the Gold Pine Resins. And Silver Pendant we used for Manus. But other than that, we didn't use any fire bombs, any knives, or anything like that. Just fists, baby. Punch away. For our rings, the Hornet Ring was freaking huge. It boosts our critical attacks. And if you go against NPC and invaders, or in PvP, you get on a parry riposte or a backstab, you get extra animation to it, giving you the extra damage as well. Ran just a ring so we can run through like Blighttown and shit like that. Gold cover something if we wanted to find some random stuff that we thought we needed that we didn't. Calanthropy Ring was huge to boost our stamina recovery speed. And Havel's Ring, when we needed to wear Havel's armor. There was one exception when we had to wear Havel's armor, which if Havel's armor is awesome. I just didn't equate in my head until this playthrough. Never really go for that super tanky build, at least in this one. I've done it in Dark Souls 3, but not this one. And I think... Oh, and when we didn't have 2 spell slots, Dark Moon Seos Ring, and to increase the length of our buffs, weapon buffs and body buffs, the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring was freaking huge. Well, sometimes the Wolf Ring if we wanted that extra poise, but our armor, like the Black Iron set, pretty much was our jam. Okay, so we did have some buffs and body buffs and weapon buffs. So once we got Crystal Magic Weapon, it was pretty much that was our weapon buff. Before that, Magic Weapon, Great Magic Weapon, and you also saw the Fire Papers, the charcoal papers, as well. So we can have fire, and like I said, the Gold Pine Resin papers as well. And then for our body buff, Power Within, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers that provides, but it gives you a good boost. I think it's... I don't want to say. I think I wanted to say 40% over 100 seconds, and you get a penalty of like 1% of your life or something like that. But you do get extra damage out of it, and that was huge. Combined with Crystal Magic Weapon, it was kind of absurd. And why no Faith, you ask? Because the way I see it, I only get 1 Sunlight Blade buff on a 30 in Faith investment, where I get 3 Crystal Magic Weapons, 3 Great Magic Weapons, and 5 Magic Weapons on a 25 Intelligence investment. And granted, things are weak to lightning in this game, but you get enough damage out of your Crystal Magic Weapon or Great Magic Weapon to make it work out. It works out just fine. I mean, I think Faith would be great on this, but I feel the practicality out of the magic side of things works out really well. So as we saw our damage numbers, 298 for our straight up fit plus 15 Cestus. The damage ain't great, and you got 330 on our Lightning Cestus. The Lightning Cestus, good earlier game. Like, see if you got like a Fire Cestus, also good earlier game. But you want your physical, because everything is going to start having resistances towards stuff, towards later game and DLC. And like I said, Crystal Magic Weapon really did the trick. Here, let's see. So it's 298. 536. That's over 230 points of damage. That's freaking huge. Fire paper we're getting much, but with enemies weak with fire, it was worth using fire papers. And our lightning cestus stayed at 330. Even with power within, you couldn't compete with the lightning cestus. Cannot compete with Crystal Magic Weapon. Power within, it was just freaking amazing. But yeah, it was trying. Surprisingly, would be good in PvP. You just have to get your parries down, because that's your only your only defense. You can rock a shield, but you look like a chump. Set your parries down. Parry, boom. You do that crazy damage with the Hawk Ring. Crazy damage. Crazy damage. Yeah. Overall, this was a super fun challenge run. Super fun build to do. I recommend it. If you want to have a challenge run that's going to be, I feel, challenging in the right ways, but you'll be able to get to the end of the game and feel good about it, even within the DLC where the enemies are stronger, faster, or more resistant to shit. I thought it was good. Calamite was a little rough. Artorias wasn't bad. And Manus wasn't bad. I think, but that's about... And Sanctuary Guardian is just Sanctuary Guardian. No, I always think the Sanctuary Guardian's kind of BS. But overall, the playthrough was super fun. Well worth it. So, guys, thanks for taking the time out, for checking out the video. Hope you enjoy the rest of the footage, and I'll see you later. Peace out.